The massive window of the Alliance Defense Force Command Center showed nothing but endless stars and the occasional flash of distant explosions. Captain Reed stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his gray uniform neat despite the chaos around him. The command center buzzed with activity as officers rushed between glowing screens and holographic displays. "Sir, we've lost contact with the Third Fleet," an officer called out, his voice trembling. "The Starbreakers have pushed through the defensive line in Sector 7. Reed closed his eyes for a moment. Another fleet gone. Another 1,000 lives lost to the endless hunger of the Starbreakers. The enemy had appeared 20 years ago, emerging from the dark space between galaxies. They were a hive-mind species that lived only to consume and grow stronger. The peaceful Stellar Alliance, made up of 3 species that had never known true war, found itself helpless against such aggression. "How many colonies have we lost this month?" Reed asked, though he already knew the answer. 5, sir. The evacuation ships could only save 60% of the population. The Starbreakers' tactics never changed. They would enter a system, destroy all military assets, and then land on populated worlds to consume everything: resources, technology, and life itself. Their ships looked like massive black crystals, sharp and deadly, cutting through space with terrible purpose. Reed walked to his desk and picked up the latest report. The Alliance's weapons could barely scratch the Starbreaker ships. Their shields were too strong, their weapons too powerful. The 3 species of the Alliance, the tall, graceful Blue Walkers, the small but brilliant Ringmakers, and the gas-dwelling Cloud Singers, had lived in peace for so long they had forgotten how to fight. Their weapons were designed for mining asteroids and clearing space debris, not for war. A sudden commotion near the communication station caught Reed's attention. Officer Mills, one of his best communication experts, was waving frantically. "Captain, we're picking up something strange. A new signal from an unexplored sector." Reed hurried over, his boots clicking against the metal floor. The screen showed a part of space the Alliance had never explored, too far from their normal trade routes. "What kind of signal?" It's a ship, sir, but not one of ours, and definitely not Starbreakers. They're using some kind of engine we've never seen before. The energy readings are off the charts." Reed leaned closer to the screen. The signal was coming from a small solar system with 8 planets. The third one showed signs of advanced civilization. How did we miss them? Reed wondered aloud. A spacefaring species, right in our galactic neighborhood. The answer came quickly. The new species had just achieved faster-than-light travel. Their first FTL ship was broadcasting a message of peace and friendship to anyone who might be listening. "Sir," Mills said, his voice filled with hope for the first time in months. "Should we answer them?" Reed studied the data more carefully. The new species called themselves humans, and they came from a planet called Earth. Their message was being broadcast in multiple formats, showing both remarkable intelligence and careful planning. But what caught Reed's attention were the scans of their ship. Their technology was different. While the Alliance had focused on elegant, efficient designs, these humans had built their ship like a fortress. Reed could see weapon ports, thick armor, and shield generators that made the Alliance's best technology look primitive. "Yes," Reed said, allowing himself to smile. "Send them our greeting protocols, and mark this as urgent, highest priority." As the message was sent, Reed looked back at the window, at the distant flashes of battle. The human ship design told him something crucial. These people understood war. And right now, the Alliance desperately needed someone who knew how to fight. "Send word to the Council," Reed ordered. "Tell them we may have found our salvation." Little did Reed know just how right he was. Humanity's arrival would change everything, and the Starbreakers were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating the new species on the galactic stage. Ambassador Tom Jones stood on the bridge of the Earth's first diplomatic vessel, the Peace Seeker, watching as his ship approached the Alliance space station. The massive structure looked like a silver snowflake floating in space, its crystalline arms stretching out for miles. It was beautiful, but Jones couldn't help noticing the battle damage along its outer hull. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" Captain Brown said, standing beside him. The captain was a military man, chosen specifically for this mission because of his calm nature and experience. "Hard to believe we're the first humans to see alien architecture up close." Jones nodded, adjusting his simple black suit. "Those blast marks worry me, though. The Alliance's message mentioned they were at war, but they didn't say how bad it was." The Peace Seeker carried Earth's best diplomats, scientists, and a small security team. While it looked peaceful from the outside, the ship packed enough firepower to defend itself if needed. Humanity had learned long ago never to travel unprepared. As they docked with the station, Jones noticed unusual activity through the viewing windows. Alliance ships were rushing back and forth, many of them damaged. Emergency repairs were being carried out on several vessels. The welcoming committee waited in the docking bay. 3 different alien species stood together. The tall blue walkers with their flowing robes, the short ringmakers covered in shimmering scales, and the cloud singers floating in their containment suits filled with their home atmosphere. Captain Reed stepped forward to greet them. "Welcome to Alliance Space, representatives of Earth. We're honored to." An alarm cut through the air, its high-pitched wail making everyone flinch. "Star Breakers," someone shouted. 3 ships just jumped into the system. Jones watched in amazement as the peaceful aliens transformed into a panic-stricken crowd. Captain Reed grabbed a communication device. "All ships, defensive positions. Get the civilian vessels behind the station." Through the massive bay windows, Jones could see 3 black crystal-shaped ships appearing in the distance. They moved with predatory grace, their sharp edges gleaming in the starlight. "Ambassador," Reed said quickly, "I apologize, but you need to return to your ship. This station is about to become a battlefield." Captain Brown stepped forward. "We can help. The Peace Seeker isn't just a diplomatic vessel." Reed looked surprised. "But your ship is so small compared to—" "Size isn't everything," Brown said with a slight smile. "Ambassador, your call." Jones didn't hesitate. "We came here to form an alliance. What better way to start than by helping our new friends?" The Peace Seeker's engines roared to life as they rushed back aboard. Through the ship's advanced viewing screens, Jones watched the Star Breakers approach. They were firing strange energy weapons at the Alliance ships, cutting through their shields like paper. "Battle stations," Brown ordered calmly. "Power up the main guns. Load the tungsten rounds." Jones felt a surge of pride as the Peace Seeker's peaceful exterior transformed. Hidden weapon ports opened along its hull, revealing railguns and missile launchers that made the Alliance observers gasp in surprise. "Target the lead ship," Brown commanded. "Show them how Earth says hello." The Peace Seeker's main gun spoke. A tungsten rod, accelerated to near-light speed, crossed the space between them in an instant. It struck the lead Star Breaker ship dead center. The alien vessel's shields, which had easily blocked Alliance weapons, might as well have been tissue paper. The black crystal ship split in half, its pieces spinning away into space. The other 2 Star Breaker ships actually stopped their advance, seeming to hesitate for the first time. On the Alliance command channel, there was total silence. Then Reed's voice came through, filled with awe. "By the stars, what kind of weapons are those?" Jones smiled as he watched the remaining Star Breaker ships retreat. "Just basic human technology, Captain Reed. Nothing special. Would you like to continue our diplomatic discussion?" The first shots had been fired, and the galaxy was about to learn that humanity's arrival meant everything was about to change. Commander Wilson walked through the Alliance military headquarters, his boots making no sound on the soft floor covering. Every alien he passed stopped to stare at him. After the Peace Seeker's display of power yesterday, humans had become the most interesting beings in the station. The Alliance Council chamber was a large round room with floating platforms for each species. Wilson stood in the center, surrounded by the most important leaders of the Alliance. Behind him, a large screen showed images of human weapons and ships. "Let me understand this correctly," said Head Council Member Lake, a blue walker whose robes shimmered with nervous energy. "The weapon your ship used yesterday was outdated." Wilson nodded. "The Peace Seeker carries what we call basic defense weapons. They're standard issue for all our ships, even civilian ones. They're about 20 years old." A Ringmaker counselor leaned forward, his scales reflecting the room's soft light. "And you have more powerful weapons." "Much more powerful," Wilson said simply. He touched a control on his wrist computer, and the screen changed to show a human battleship. "This is the Thunder-class battleship. It carries antimatter weapons, gravity bombs, and quantum torpedoes." The council chamber filled with confused whispers. A cloud singer floated closer in their containment suit. "These terms, we don't understand them. How did humans develop such weapons?" Wilson took a deep breath. This was the hard part to explain. "We developed them because we had to," he said. "You see, humans spent most of their history fighting each other, while your species were building perfect societies and exploring space peacefully. We were locked in conflicts. Every war pushed our technology forward. Every battle taught us something new." The council members looked horrified. A blue walker spoke up. "You fought your own kind." "Yes," Wilson said. "We're not proud of it. But it made us strong. It made us understand warfare in ways you never had to. And now, those centuries of fighting might just save the galaxy." He changed the screen again, showing detailed scans of the Starbreaker ships. "Your weapons can't hurt them because you designed them for mining and defense. But our weapons," he pointed to the scan of the destroyed Starbreaker ship, "we designed ours to pierce the strongest defenses we could imagine. And then we made them stronger." The council was silent for a long moment. Then Head Council Member Lake asked, "How many ships can Earth provide?" "We have 50 battle fleets ready to deploy," Wilson said. The aliens gasped. "Each fleet has 100 ships. And we can build more." A Rainmaker raised a trembling hand. But how will we know you won't turn these weapons on us?" "Your history." Wilson smiled gently. "Because our history taught us something else too. We learned the cost of war. We learned how precious peace is. Earth united not because we forgot how to fight, but because we finally understood when not to." He walked to the center of the room and spread his hands. "We offer our protection to the Alliance, not because we want to rule you, but because we believe peaceful species shouldn't have to learn the art of war. That's our burden to bear." The council members looked at each other. Years of losing to the Starbreakers had left them desperate, and now hope stood before them in a human uniform. Head Council Member Lake stood. "Commander Wilson, the Alliance accepts Earth's offer of protection. We would be honored to fight alongside humanity." Wilson nodded. "Then let's begin. The Starbreakers think they know war." He smiled, but there was steel in his eyes. "Wait until they meet humanity." As Wilson left the council chamber, messages were already flying across Alliance space. Humanity had arrived, and they weren't just allies. They were the champions the peaceful Alliance had been waiting for. The age of the Starbreakers was about to end. Captain Robert stood on the bridge of the HMS Thunder, watching as 30 Starbreaker ships approached the Alliance colony. His ship floated alone in space, a dark gray giant against the stars. The colony's 2 million people were evacuating, but they needed more time. "Enemy ships entering weapon range in 5 minutes," First Officer Hall reported from her station. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, each movement precise and practiced. "Send them the warning message," Robert ordered. The Alliance had insisted on giving the Starbreakers one chance to retreat. The message was simple. "This is HMS Thunder of Earth. Leave this system or be destroyed." The Starbreakers' response came quickly. A barrage of energy weapons fired at the Thunder. The shots splashed harmlessly against the ship's shields. Robert shook his head. "They never learn, do they? Bring the main weapons online. Let's show them what a real warship can do." The Thunder was one of Earth's older battleships, but it was still more powerful than anything the Starbreakers had ever faced. Its hull opened like a blooming flower, revealing rows of weapon ports. "Sir, they're laughing at us," the communication officer said, listening to the Starbreakers' transmissions. "They think one ship against 30 is a joke." "Let them laugh," Robert said calmly. "Weapons, target their command ship. Load an antimatter torpedo." The bridge grew quiet. Even after years of service, the crew still felt awe when using antimatter weapons. Each torpedo contained enough power to split a planet. "Target locked," the weapons officer reported. "Antimatter containment field stable." Robert watched the Starbreakers advance. Their black crystal ships moved in perfect formation, confident in their numbers. They had no idea what was coming. Fire. The Thunder shuddered slightly as it launched the torpedo. The small projectile moved faster than light, leaving a trail of blue energy. The Starbreakers didn't even try to dodge. When the torpedo hit the command ship, space itself seemed to scream. A sphere of pure white light expanded from the point of impact, swallowing the massive ship whole. When the light faded, nothing remained of the command ship except scattered atoms. The explosion took out 5 more ships nearby. The remaining Starbreakers stopped their advance, their perfect formation breaking apart in confusion. "Their hive mind is in chaos," the sensor officer reported with a smile. "They've never seen anything like this. They don't know what to do." Robert stood from his chair. "Send them another message. Tell them this was just one torpedo from one old human ship. Tell them we have thousands of ships just like this one, and many that are far more powerful." The Starbreakers began to retreat, but Robert wasn't finished. "Target their engines with the rail guns. Don't let them escape to warn the others." "Not yet." The Thunder's rail guns fired, shooting chunks of metal at near-light speed. Each shot pierced through the Starbreaker ships like paper, destroying their engines. Soon, 24 dead ships floated in space, their crews trapped inside. "Colony evacuation is complete," Hall reported. "No civilian casualties." Robert nodded. "Send word to Alliance Command. Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The Starbreakers now know they can be beaten." As rescue ships arrived to help the colony, Robert looked at the destroyed Starbreaker fleet. For 20 years, they had terrorized the Alliance. Now, in less than an hour, one human ship had destroyed 30 of their best ships. "Set course for the next target," Robert ordered. "It's time to take the fight to them." The Thunder moved away from the battlefield, leaving behind a clear message for the entire galaxy. Humanity had arrived, and the rules of war had changed forever. For the first time in their long history, the Starbreakers felt fear. In their giant hive ship, deep in their controlled space, the hive mind leaders gathered to discuss the disaster at the Alliance colony. The hive chamber was a massive room made of living crystal, black surfaces reflecting the dim light. The leaders floated in their connection pods, their minds linked directly to their fleet's survivors. "Impossible," the first mind broadcast to all. "One ship cannot destroy 30. The data must be wrong." But the memories from the surviving crews showed the truth. They watched again as the human ship launched its strange weapon, as the command ship vanished in an explosion that broke the laws of physics themselves. "The Alliance has found new weapons," the second mind suggested. "No," the third mind responded. "These humans, they are different. Their ship's design, their weapons, their tactics, nothing like the Alliance." In the Alliance headquarters, Admiral Thompson stood before the combined military leaders of 3 species. Behind him, screens showed detailed scans of the Thunder's battle. "What you just witnessed," Thompson said, "was a small demonstration of human military power. The Thunder is actually one of our older ships, scheduled for retirement next year." The Alliance leaders stared at him in shock. A Blue Walker general found his voice first. "That ship is outdated." Thompson nodded. "The Thunder is 20 years old. Our modern ships carry weapons at least 10 times more powerful." He touched his control pad, and the screen showed a new image, a massive human fleet in orbit around Earth. Thousands of ships, each larger and more advanced than the Thunder. "This is just one of our home defense fleets," Thompson explained. "We have 5 more like it, ready to deploy across Alliance space." Back in the Starbreaker Hive ship, panic spread through the hive mind. More reports were coming in. Human ships had been spotted near other Alliance worlds. The Thunder was not alone. How? The first mind demanded. How did we not know about these humans? How did they build such weapons? The answer came from their deepest research cores. The Starbreakers had studied thousands of species across multiple galaxies. Most followed the same pattern: peaceful development, gradual progress, predictable technology. But humans were different. Their history was filled with conflict, each war driving their technology forward at incredible speed. While other species developed energy weapons for mining, humans built them for war. While others used antimatter for power, humans weaponized it. In the Alliance headquarters, Thompson continued his briefing. "We've analyzed the Starbreaker technology. Their ships are impressive, but they're predictable. They never expected to face weapons designed specifically for war." He showed them the battle data. "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons, but our kinetic rail guns pass right through them. Their armor can deflect normal explosives, but antimatter torpedoes ignore armor completely." An Alliance scientist raised her hand. "But the cost of building such weapons." Thompson smiled. "That's another advantage of our history. We've spent centuries making our weapons both powerful and efficient. The antimatter torpedo that destroyed their command ship. We can make one for the same resource cost as 10 of your mining lasers." In the Hive ship, the Starbreaker leaders reached a terrible conclusion. They had started this war believing they were the strongest species in the galaxy. Now they faced an enemy that had spent its entire history preparing for this moment. "Send the order," the first mind commanded. "All fleets are to avoid human ships at all costs. We must learn more before we challenge them again." But it was too late. As the order went out, reports came in of more human ships entering Starbreaker space. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity was coming for them. Operation Lightbringer began at dawn, Earth time. 500 human warships jumped into Starbreaker space simultaneously, their arrival turning the darkness into day. Leading the charge was the newest human flagship, the HMS Titan, carrying enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Lieutenant Anderson stood in the Titan's command center, watching tactical displays light up with thousands of enemy signals. The Starbreakers had gathered their entire fleet, over 2,000 ships, to defend their core systems. "All ships report ready," Captain White announced from the command chair. "The Alliance support fleet is in position to prevent any escapes." Anderson nodded. "Time to show them our real weapons." The Titan's special warfare bay hummed to life. Inside, quantum computers calculated firing solutions for weapons that bent space itself. The Starbreakers were about to learn that the Thunder's antimatter torpedoes were just the beginning. "Enemy fleet approaching," the sensor officer reported. They're moving slowly, almost like they're afraid." "They should be," Anderson said. "Launch the Sunmaker missiles." The Titan shuddered as it released its newest weapons. The Sunmaker missiles looked small, barely visible against the backdrop of space. The Starbreakers didn't even try to shoot them down, their sensors showing them as too tiny to be threats. That was their last mistake. When the missiles detonated, they created miniature suns that burned for 30 seconds. The artificial stars consumed everything within their reach. 400 Starbreaker ships vanished in the first wave. "Their hive mind is screaming," the psychic officer reported, monitoring the enemy's shared consciousness. They didn't know such weapons were possible. Anderson turned to his strike team. 20 soldiers in advanced combat suits stood ready. "That's our cue. While they're confused, we're going in." The strike team's ship was small and fast, designed to slip through chaos of battle. As the human fleet engaged the remaining Starbreakers, Anderson's team approached the massive hive mind control station. "Sir," one of his soldiers said, "scans show their central brain core. It's huge." The station was a giant crystal structure, 50 miles across. At its heart, the Starbreaker hive mind directed its entire species. They had never expected anyone to reach this far. "Plant the beacons," Anderson ordered as they landed, every 100 meters. The team moved through crystal corridors, placing small devices on the walls. No Starbreakers confronted them. All warriors were in ships, trying desperately to stop the human fleet. In space, the battle wasn't even close. Human ships danced between Starbreaker vessels, their advanced weapons tearing through the enemy's outdated defenses. The Starbreakers had spent centuries bullying peaceful species, never developing new weapons. Now they paid the price. "Beacons planted," Anderson reported back to the Titan. "Clear the area." The beacons were quantum entanglement devices. When activated, they would link this space with a point near Earth's sun. The Starbreakers were about to get a very close look at a star they couldn't consume. As Anderson's team escaped, Captain White gave the order. The beacons activated. A tunnel of golden light connected the hive mind station to Sol. Solar plasma poured through the quantum gateway. The Starbreakers felt their central hive mind burn. Their ships stopped moving. Their warriors lost contact with the main consciousness. For the first time in their history, the Starbreakers were alone, each ship cut off from the others. Phase 1 complete, Anderson reported as his team returned to the Titan. "The hive mind is gone. Now they're just scattered ships with no coordination." The human fleet moved forward, methodically cleaning up the remaining resistance. Operation Lightbringer had changed everything. The galaxy's greatest predators had just become prey. General Martinez watched from the bridge of the HMS Titan as the combined human alliance fleet surrounded the Starbreaker homeworld. The planet was beautiful in a strange way, its surface covered in black crystals that reached toward the stars like hungry fingers. "Last chance," Martinez said to the communication officer. "Send the surrender message." The remaining Starbreakers had gathered here, their last 10 ships forming a defensive line around their homeworld. Without their hive mind to guide them, they were disorganized, confused, and afraid. "Message sent," the officer reported. "They're responding." For the first time, the Starbreakers used actual words instead of psychic communications. Their message was simple: "We will not surrender to prey." Martinez sighed. "Some lessons are hard to learn. All ships, begin the attack. Minimal casualties if possible. We're not like them." The human fleet moved with perfect precision, their weapons carefully targeted. The Starbreaker ships' shields failed in seconds. Instead of destroying them, human boarding teams used teleporters to capture the crews. "Sir," Anderson reported from his strike team's position on the surface, "we've secured their main growth chambers. You need to see this." The video feed showed massive crystal halls filled with stolen technology from 1,000 worlds. The Starbreakers had been collecting innovations from every species they consumed, but never truly understanding them. "Look at this," Anderson said, pointing to a massive engine core. "They stole this from the Ringmakers centuries ago. It could have powered their whole civilization, but they just kept it as a trophy." In orbit, Ambassador Jones watched the operation from an Alliance ship. Beside him, the Alliance Council members saw their greatest enemy fall in less than a day. "You could destroy them all," Head Council member Lake said quietly. "After what they did to us, nobody would blame you." Jones shook his head. "That's not our way. Humanity learned long ago that true strength isn't about destruction, it's about protection. We'll imprison those who resist, but the rest will be given a chance to change." On the surface, human scientists were already working to understand Starbreaker technology. Without their hive mind, the younger Starbreakers were beginning to show signs of individual thought. Some even expressed relief at being free from the constant mental control. "All sectors secured," Martinez reported to Earth Command. The Starbreaker threat is officially over. Total operation time, 18 hours. The news spread across the galaxy. Species that had lived in fear for centuries celebrated in their homes. Alliance worlds lit up with victory celebrations. The nightmare was over. 1 week later, the Alliance Council chamber was packed for a historic moment. Ambassador Jones stood in the center, surrounded by representatives from 50 different species, many of whom had been in hiding from the Starbreakers. "Today marks a new beginning," Jones announced. "Earth pledges to protect all peaceful species in this galaxy. Our ships will guard your worlds, our scientists will share non-military technology, and our teachers will help you understand the universe without having to learn the hard lessons we did." The council chamber erupted in cheers. As Jones signed the protection treaty, he saw young Starbreakers watching from a secure area. Their crystals had changed from black to clear, their first step toward a new way of life. On Earth, citizens watched the ceremony with pride. Their violent history had forged them into warriors, but their wisdom had taught them to be guardians instead of conquerors. Humanity had found its true purpose among the stars. "The age of fear is over," Jones concluded. "The age of peace begins today, and Earth will ensure it lasts." As the ceremony ended, ships from 50 species flew together in formation. In the center, the HMS Thunder led the way, a symbol of how one ship had changed the galaxy forever. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if they too knew that a new dawn had come to the galaxy.